Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be a review video. In today's review video, we are taking a look at the Samson Manufacturing B-Team stock. And before we get this video started, the best thing you can do to support the channel right now is to check out that first link down in the description. It's going to take you to the Firearm Freedom merchandise store. Anything you purchase on that merchandise store directly goes to support what I do here on the channel, and I seriously appreciate you guys repping the brand that is Firearm Freedom. If you want to make sure these videos are not being hidden from your subscription feed, best thing I can tell you is to interact with the video. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, comment down below. Man, this Samson is one of the very few companies. There are still companies that get me excited in this industry, but the number is dwindling. With the amount of companies that get me excited about a product, and Samson is one that consistently knocks it out of the park for me, and I love what they do because they're one of the few companies that actually seems to understand the market, which is the market of people wanting to return to the retro. We don't want a blasphemous version of something that was just so cool in the past, so cool in the 80s, right? We just want the same thing. That's all we're calling for. And Samson is one of the few companies that just gets it. They just get it. They say, hey, they want an A-Team style AC556 stock for their Mini 14. Hey, we got you. We got the A-Team stock. Now, we also understand that you guys might want to enjoy the stock in a slightly more affordable plinker. Here we go. This is the B-Team stock for the 1022, and if you couldn't have guessed it already, I'm pretty excited. Full disclosure, as always, what is my relationship with Samson Manufacturing? They did send me this B-Team stock and other accessories to check out here in this video, but they did not ask me to give it any sort of a positive review. They just wanted to hear my honest and unbiased opinions about the stock and how it's performing and kind of the pros and cons that I have. And that's exactly what I plan to do today. The B-Team stock, or as it's going to be marked everywhere as B-TM, but from everything that I've seen on Samson's videos and other things, they're just calling it the B-Team stock for obvious reasons. It looks like the very reminiscent rifle that was used in the A-Team series, which is actually an AC556. Think of a Mini 14, but shorter, fires faster because it's a machine gun, and it's a hell of a lot cooler, and that's essentially an AC556. A while ago, I did a review of their A-Team stock on my Mini 14. Now, I just had the Mini 14 that was the ranch model, so it has a longer barrel. It does not have a flash hider, and it's not threaded, but it still looks incredible in that Samson Manufacturing stock, and I absolutely love the stock. I think they did an incredible job with the manufacturing. Now, I saw for a very long time them slowly trickling out the B-Team stock, and essentially it is identical to the A-Team stock. However, it is not designed to fit a Mini 14. It's designed to fit a 1022. The reason why I held off in getting this stock for such a long period is because for a long time Samson just had the lower portion of the stock here. So they had the walnut hardwood portion of it, and of course they had the typical side folding metal stock portion that you're going to see here. All that was the same. And they also had this new and improved pick rail rear sight and front sight, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. The one piece, though, that they just finally dropped, which I'm super excited about, is the heat shield. And believe it or not, this truly does make the difference of this stock, in my opinion. Now, before, in order to actually use the upgraded sights, you had to punch out your rear sight. Now, it's not the end of the world, and of course, you probably could have left it there. It just kind of looked odd. But once you punched it out, you just had kind of an open dovetail. It's just a little bit of an eyesore, and it's such a cool stock. It was the last little piece that just wasn't working right for me. And then they came out with the heat shield, which not only actually acts as a heat shield. I mean, your 1022 is not getting that hot, but it does give you a little bit of heat protection on the barrel there. And they actually allowed it to just simply use this button screw, and they had a piece sliding into the dovetail, and as you tightened it down, that's what holds the heat shield in place, and it gives you such a sweet look. I mean, it is awesome, and it is somewhat practical. Like I mentioned, it does actually fit the role of a heat shield, so it's kind of a win-win there. And now you don't have to worry about your rear sight at all. You can use their factory rear sight and pick rail, and then also the new and improved front sight, which I have here with the B-Team flash hider as well. Of course, you don't have to use any of these additional accessories, which is why Samson lists all these accessories separately. So you can simply choose if you just want to roll with the stock and everything else the exact same way that you have it on your 1022. That will work just fine, but if you want to pick and choose which ones you want, or if you want all of them, you can add them all to your cart and you're good to go. As you heard me mention there, it is a walnut stock, and I have to say the quality of the wood in the stock is phenomenal. It is a really, really nice walnut. It is stained and finished properly, and it just looks great. There's no jagged, sharp edges. The metal steel components of the stock are, of course, also great. No issues there with manufacturing. This stock does have just a... I love how cool this stock is when it folds. I just can't get enough of it. You have your button here. If you press this button up, the stock is going to fold, and then of course to lock it into place, you have this small knurled piece here that if you pull that in, it's going to lock it up into place, and it's going to be very tight. You can also obviously shoot it and manipulate the gun in this position if you wanted to, for whatever reason. To get the stock back into action, it is easier and quicker than to fold it, and you just simply pull the stock down. Gives you some Jurassic Park vibes, and then you pull it out, slam it into place, and you're good. You also now have a standard black plastic pistol grip. This is going to be traditional to the AC 5.56 stock, and it looks great, and it's also very comfortable. I had no issues with this. Of course, being a 22, again, you're not really going to experience any recoil at all, so it's not the end of the world if the pistol grip is a little bit awkward, but this one's super comfortable, and it lines your trigger finger up nicely with the 1022 trigger. Samson did send along their new QD socket that goes inside of this part here on the stock. Now, you can use a standard sling swivel, which I do have on my A-Team stock from Samson, and between the two, I do think that looks just ever so slightly more at home on this stock. The QD attachment here isn't bad, and it's incredibly practical. It is much more practical than having the sling swivel, but there's just somewhat of a look thing here that maybe it just doesn't do it for me as much, and the fact that it's just kind of like flipping around all over the place. I get why it's there, and I understand it, and I get that it's very practical, but I still think I might choose just a standard sling loop here just for the retro vibes. Now, in the front portion of the stock, you do get a new barrel band here up in the top, and that is going to give you another QD section, and that's why you have this QD in the rear. So you got a really nice, really practical way to mount a sling on there, and then it's just going to tighten into place with that set screw, and this is not going to feed into that heat shield. The heat shield, because it was designed after the fact, and also for the fact that it doesn't really need the extra rigidity up here in the front because it's a freaking 22, it does not actually go into the barrel band. So you don't have to use the heat shield in order to get this barrel band to work properly. It's just going to kind of rest in place there, and it's using the tension on the screw in the rear and the rear sight dovetail to hold it into place. Now, to talk about the B-Team sights, I think these are absolutely the way to go. The 1022 factory sights, at least the ones that I had on this bone stock 1022, are very low, very tight to the rifle, and you really have to kind of dig your face down in to get a proper sight picture. Having the raised rear sight really opens it up to just a much more comfortable and practical cheek weld on the rifle to just get a sight picture. And then on top of that, it's going to give you a standard scope mount or a standard Picatinny rail to mount whatever you would like. I think a small pistol style red dot would go great on a setup like this, and that's probably what's going to go on it in the future. And then of course that's going to go along with the new front sight. Now the new front sight does get dovetailed into place, so you need to knock out the dovetail of the factory sight. It is an adjustable front sight for elevation, and the rear is adjustable for windage, and it's just standard adjustments there. This B-Team flash hider is actually going to be pretty crafty. So what they did is they have a set screw here on the bottom. You're supposed to just butt this up against the crown of the rifle and just simply tighten it into place. It is going to hold on to the front sight there, and you can see it just boxes it out. And of course it is going to give you a little bit of flash suppression, but ultimately I think it's there a little bit more for looks as well as performance. So you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. I had no complaints with it. I do think it completes the look of this 1022. The only thing I wish I had was the shorter 16-inch version. I just think it would look a little bit more practical. Yes, it's not threaded. I wish I could put my can on it, but it does give it an awesome look, and I think it just completes the package perfectly. As far as usability of the stock at the range, aside from looks and cool factor, does it improve overall shootability? And I would say absolutely yes. It is much more comfortable for me to shoot this 1022. It becomes a much more practical plinker at the range. I like the fact that it has a pistol grip. I like the fact that I can easily get to my controls. And the other thing I like about this stock, being a 1022 stock or just really a 22 stock, there's no fake things on it. And for those of you guys out there that are into 22s, you might know what I mean, but I can't stand 22 stocks and stock sets that are out there that have like fake things on them. They're designed to replicate another gun, but parts don't work. Parts are just plastic. They don't look right, and they're just designed just for look, just for fabrication. Although the 22 is obviously not a die-hard defensive use gun, it's more of a plinker, I don't like the fact of turning it into essentially like a toy, where it feels like everything's gonna break and it feels like everything is just there for a cool picture and that's about it. And you have none of that with this B-Team stock, and I think that's why I'm so excited about it. It takes this 1022 and it puts it into a very, very hardcore real use stock that's of serious high quality, and I dig that. I know what many of you are probably thinking, which is, hey, what's the price of this stock? And although none of this is cheap, you know, you're into it for a lot of the pieces pretty much for as much as the 1022 itself costs. Because of the quality of everything in here, I do not think any piece is overpriced. I think every piece on here warrants the price tag that is on Samson's website. I think it is absolutely reasonable, and right now the lead times are down a lot more, which is cool. So I know before Samson had a little bit of a hard time getting out the stocks and the demand was insane. Now they're doing a little bit better. Some people might look at the price and just immediately scoff at it. I think the stock itself is like $299 MSRP on their website. But again, it's real walnut stock, real steel components. It is made to last, it's made to be durable, it's made to be a hard use stock. When I look at that, and I look at the quality of this stock, I have no issue with $299. Now, of course, you can choose to add on the other pieces. That's going to go more, and you just have to figure out with yourself if those prices are going to be worth it for a 22. I think it does make the 22 super practical. I know a lot more people are probably going to be interested in spending that money for a Mini 14 stock or the A-Team stock from Samson, but I do think this has a lot of merit to it, and I think they did a very good job. A lot of people also don't know that these stocks from Samson are actually licensed Ruger stocks. So Ruger worked with Samson directly to make sure that the fitment on the Ruger 1022 and the Ruger Mini 14 would be perfect. That is going to wrap up this video on the Samson Manufacturing B-Team stock. If you guys have any other questions about this stock or anything else on the channel, please throw them down below in the comment section, and you guys know I absolutely will get back to you. While you're down there, head up to that description for the links to support the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.